Well, hi, friends. My name is Dr. Emlah, and this is the Intentional Living with Emlah podcast. I am honored and excited today to welcome my beautiful friend, Robin McAllister-Zaas. And she is that person you want to be around when you are in a difficult space. Because she is not only a life coach like I am, she is a life and transitions coach. And who can say they have not been in a transition?
Everyone has, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So, and not only that, she is the founder of the Mirth Project. And I can't wait for you guys to discover what the Mirth Project is. Robin, thank you for coming.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I've been so excited.
I'm so happy. I'm happy. And I said, I texted her and I said, hey, friend, I started the Intentional Living with Emlah podcast, and I would love for you to be a guest on it. Would you mind? And she said, yes. And
You had me at intentional. That was it. That's all it took.
She said, you had me at intentional. I'm going to stop you right there, and let's go with my first question, which is, when I say intentional living, Robin, what does this mean to you?
So one thing that I always do with every client that I have is we work on life outcomes, right? Your top 5 outcomes, what you want your life to have been about when it's all said and done. And every single day, I take a step towards my life outcomes. Like one of them is to be fit and healthy my whole life. So every morning, I'm in my basement doing a workout of some sort. So every day, I make an intentional step. So that's how I live intentionally. That, and by picking the thoughts that you think, because, our brains go, 30 billion thoughts every day, and so many of them are negative. Yes. You got to choose what you think, because that creates your life.
That is the definition. That's the definition of intentional living for me. And that is the line that I use every time when I talk to children about intentional living, because my children always say, intentional, what's that big word? What does that mean?
Right.
And basically those small, consistent steps in the direction of your dreams.
Exactly.
In the direction of the outcomes that you're desiring.
That's why
to
we're
lead a
friends.
fulfilled life. That's why we're friends. I love it. And I'm so happy to share. I would like, before we jump deep into it, I really want our listeners to know more about you, about your life story. Can you tell us how it is you came to, why you decide to be a life coach? What brought you all the way here?
So, I'm that person who on an airplane or a bus or wherever I am, whoever's sitting next to me tells me their life story. And it's like, I when I discovered that there was actually a thing called a life coach, I'm like, oh, wait a second. I do that anyway. So I can get paid for that? What? So that's basically
living my life and inspiring the people around me.
Well, and also, you don't want to, as a life coach, I don't give advice. Yes. I help people figure out for themselves what they need to do, because believe it or not, everybody knows. They just have to uncover it. But I started thinking, I need to have some tools so that I don't steer anybody wrong unintentionally. So that's why.
Oh, that's beautiful. And that's beautiful. And you take your lived experiences, which is really abundant.
Right.
And the first time I had lunch with you, I was like, this girl, why didn't I meet you before? Just not your lived experiences, but you being a mom as well. You marry those.
Yeah.
And those elevate your coaching experience.
Absolutely. But again, I'll say again that I'm really careful in my coaching practices, I'm sure you are too, is that you use your experience to help people because they can see how you've come through something and they know they can too. But I never give advice. I only bring out my clients what they know that they don't know until they talk to me, if that makes sense.
Spoken like a true coach.
Yeah.
Because as a coach, we believe that everybody has in them the ability to do the best for themselves.
Exactly right.
And we are the best cheerleaders and able to have people open up to see their potential.
Right.
And to be able to do it for themselves.
Exactly.
And holding hands through that journey. I love it. Tell me about the Mirth Project, because I'm so excited and I really want everybody to know about the Mirth Project.
Oh, I'd love to.
How was it born?
Oh, how was it born? So I have always had a heart for nonprofit work. I mean, from a young child, I was always the candy striper, worked in the nursing home, was on all the committees, was the student council president, all that kind of stuff. I always just volunteered. And I always knew that at some point I would have my own nonprofit. It's just that over the years, different things that happened, different transitions, right? I just couldn't find the right niche because, believe it or not, in Columbus, Ohio, there are over 5,000 nonprofits. And I'm like, I don't want to repeat something, right? Like, what's
Just
the point?
in Columbus.
Just in Columbus, over 5,000 nonprofits. So it took a while for me to find a niche, if you will, a problem that wasn't being worked on yet.
There's a lot of people listening to the podcast right now, and they're going, yes, that is me.
Yeah.
To find your niche.
Yeah.
To find something that speaks to your heart, something
Right.
that lights you up in the morning, afternoon, and evening.
Exactly. So the Mirth Project was born. My daughter was working at a food pantry Christmas of 2016. She was volunteering with the kids, helping them make ornaments. And she overheard a conversation between a little boy and a little girl. And the little girl asked him, "What's Santa Claus bringing you?" And he said, "Santa doesn't come for me." And she came home and told me that. And I was like, "What? What are you talking about?" Because I love Christmas. And it just really impacted me. So I spent that year looking at programs for Christmas. And what I uncovered was there's so much for little kids. But once you turn 12 and 13, there wasn't anything. And so that's when the Mirth Project at Christmas was born. But it wasn't until 2021 when we got our 501c3, we became a year-round project. And that's when we added former foster youth.
Oh, tell me about the former foster youth, because that's the part I know about Mirth Project. Tell me
Right.
about that.
So we, it was Christmas time, 2021. We were in the middle of our Christmas program. I guess it was November. And we were in this beautiful place of having so many people who wanted to take a wish list and not enough wish lists. And I was talking to one of my board members, and she's like, "Robin, I've got an idea. There is a building in downtown Columbus called Scholar House 3, and it's a 30-unit apartment building that's home to 30 former foster youth who are currently enrolled in college." And I'm like, "Catherine, we serve teens, not college students."
Yes.
Because I was convinced that my elves, which are donors, we call elves at Christmas time, I was convinced that they would refuse them, right? They would not take a list of an 18 to 24-year-old.
Yes.
But never underestimate elves. Our community welcomed those lists with open arms. And we ended up at that. We scheduled a wish list event there. And basically, I fell in love with each and every one of them. I mean, honestly, I didn't know it was a problem turning 18 in foster care. I didn't know that was a thing. Because to me, I thought if you were someone who was interested in being a foster parent, that if you were given a child, and they couldn't go back to their family of origin for whatever reason, I just assumed you would take care of them forever until they could take care of themselves. And that's not the case.
Doesn't work like
but I didn't know, right? I didn't know until I met those kids. And I'm telling you, that just was not okay with me. It was just the things I learned that night when we took those wish lists, I couldn't unknow. So in January of 2022, we added former foster youth to our mission statement, and my life has never been the same. Never.
When you say that, a part of my heart sparks up because I'm an elf. So
Yes, you are a very good elf.
I love it. And, my children are also, during the year as we go around, the children go, the foster youth that we adopted last year. And my children are going, are we going to get the same foster son again? I say, Papa, we cannot tell who we're going to get, when the Mirth Project releases. And we will go ahead and just select what God leads us to, and it's going to be fun, and we're going to take care of some foster child somewhere, and it only gets better every year.
Oh, well, I'm so glad you and your family are involved.
So for people who do not know about the Mirth Project, just explain what it is and what it means to foster kids.
So one of our programs is the Christmas program. The Mirth Project itself has 3 distinct programs underneath the umbrella.
Yes.
We have the Mirth Project at Christmas, the Mirth Project at graduation, and the NET that provides safety, security, and skills for former foster youth.
Okay, we're going to take this separately. So we'll start
Yes.
with the Christmas,
Yes.
then before we go to the other two.
Sure. So the Mirth Project at Christmas, if anyone's interested in being involved this year, there's 2 ways that you can get a list. One is to join our Mirth Project at Christmas private Facebook group.
Yes.
And that's where starting November 3rd, we'll be posting lists every night at 7:30. People go on and they simply say "Mirror Mine" under the list, and that means they've adopted it. And we then email them that list the next morning, and they're responsible for that list. They get to pick and choose what they want to purchase. We ask for a minimum of a $200 give, but after that, most of our people go way over that. It isn't expected, but it's much appreciated, right? The other way that you can get a list is simply by emailing me, and we will pick out a list and email it to you the beginning of November.
And we think about a Christmas list and we think about ourselves. But then I want to ask you, what are some of the most surprising things you have seen on some of those Christmas lists? Because I had picked a list and I found notebooks
Yes.
for school.
Yes. Literally this year, we're in the middle right now of typing our lists, right? They get sent in through a form stack form, and then we take that form and put them in our list. And I'll tell you, this year, there's been some doozies. Last night, we were typing, and a little girl, her wish was a grocery gift card to buy food that doesn't come from a food pantry. And it just broke my heart. It was a little 13-year-old girl, right?
Robin.
I know, right? And we've also had one year, we had a young man whose wish, not his want, but his wish was a toothbrush. And I thought it was a joke. I contacted the mom. I said, he asked for a toothbrush. She just goes, yeah, we don't all have our own. And that's just shocking to me, right? His wish was a toothbrush. We took care of that young man quite well, but
Yes, I know you did.
That was quite impactful.
Well, I'm sitting over here praying that I get the list of the 13-year-old girl who wants the groceries that do not come from a food pantry. I'm sure I can make that happen for her. But to me, Robin, I want to take this one step back. This is intentional living. This is the ability to take care of yourself and the people around you.
Right.
And it elevates us. It elevates our health in ways that we cannot measure.
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
in life, there are the measurables and the immeasurables. This is an immeasurable.
Yeah.
We cannot measure how much gratitude contributes to our health.
So if I have a client who is really struggling with their purpose, or they've gone through something really big in their life, my one directive is always do something for someone else. In doing something for someone else, you always feel better. You always do.
This is why I invited you to the podcast, because that, to me, is one way to elevate our health.
Yes.
And elevate our feeling, how you feel about yourself.
Exactly.
Without actually taking a medication, without taking a supplement. Being able to take care of the people around you
Right.
is tremendous for health.
I totally
That
agree.
is the Christmas one. I don't want us to forget the other two facets of the Mirth Project. Let's move on to the graduation one.
So the Mirth Project at graduation is basically
Yes.
the teens who are turning 18 in our Christmas program and going on to college. They can sign up, and our elves during
Yes.
spring.
I love that you
forward.
call them elves.
Yeah, I know. They're our elves. They're great. They will support a young person with everything they need for their dorm room, and we make sure that they have a computer then to go on to college. So it's a great program. It's expanding. Currently, we only take care of the kids who have been in our Christmas project due to funding. But as we expand our funding and get more, we'll be able to expand that program. But right now, it's fairly small. I think the most we've done in a year has been 17 teens that turned 18 and were going on to college.
Robin, 1 teen is good enough.
Yeah.
2 is great. 17 is amazing.
Thank
and it
you.
only gets better.
It's-
My wish for
it's
the
gonna
Mirth
get
Project
better.
is that we help some child somewhere, someday. And wouldn't it be amazing to see these young adults become adults someday and come back to, serve in the Mirth Project and be able to donate in the future.
I will
Full
tell
circle.
you, we kind of had that already.
Oh.
This past spring, there was a mom who had her kids in the project, and they've since aged out, and become adults.
Yes.
And she donated $250 to the Mirth Project at graduation.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Robin.
Yes, I know.
This is the beauty of life. This, to me, truly is what life is about. Because we forget, in America, we have, focused a lot on the measurables. Mm-hmm. And every time we're measuring, how about the things that just make us bring a smile to somebody's heart?
Yes.
And that smile in somebody's heart, it has no choice but to show on the person's face eventually.
I agree.
So there's a third part of the Mirth Project that I would like for you to talk about.
Sure.
Yes.
The net. So the net provides safety, security, and skills for former foster youth. And currently, our work for former foster youth is concentrated at Scholar House 3, which is that 30-unit apartment building I talked about earlier.
Yes.
Right now, we are creating a model program there that we're hoping to be replicatable and transferable to other buildings like Scholar House across our state and across the country, because we think this problem is solvable.
It is.
It is solvable. I mean, there are so many problems that face our world, right? Poverty and hunger, and some of our health issues that we've thrown billions of dollars at to put Band-Aids on things. I believe those problems are solvable too, but it's going to take a little more time. But this problem that faces our community with former foster youth, A1, not enough people know about it. And A2, we can solve it with the right funding and the right program. And I think we have it. We're basically creating a financial safety net. So when these kids stumble, when their food stamps run out and they need food, we can take care of that. When they're missing money for like a small fee for school, we can help with that. Or they need interview clothes, or they need scrubs for their classes. We can help with that. We're their safety net. Then we have a level of life skills training that we're putting together a program at Scholar House 3. And eventually we're going to have a social enterprise where we can employ some of those kids, teach them some skills that they might be lacking, and then they'll be making a little money as well so they can take care of themselves.
You just had me there. I'm just sitting here thinking, and I had a friend who said, Emlah, I would love to take a foster kid, but I don't know that I have the capacity right now at this pace in my life. And I'm like, that's what the Mirth Project is for. You can support a foster kid.
Yeah.
From a distance, you can support the project so that the project, provides a safety net for these children.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. Thank you for being a rep in the brand there. I love that, Emlah.
But this is what it is, so that way she feels great that she has helped somebody, and a former foster kid is somewhere, and that bridge is being. And I love how you're combining your transitions life coach with the Mirth Project and serving as that bridge for the foster children as they move through the different stages of life.
Thank you. It feels good. It feels consistent, right? It feels very purposeful. So
she used my two favorite words, consistent and purposeful, in the same sentence. She got me.
Well, consistency is one of my top 5 values. Like, I really value consistency a lot.
Ooh, give us a glimpse into that. Consistency is one in there. Can we hear another of the top 5 life values that you have?
Sure.
Yes.
Consistency.
Yes.
Integrity.
Ooh.
Yes. Success.
Yes.
Compassion. And generosity. Those are my top 5 values. Yes. And, that's another way I live intentionally every day, is I measure my decisions against those values, right?
Guys, we're in a life coaching class here. I forgot to tell you guys that this episode is a life coaching class. So you measure your decisions against those 5 values.
Right. Yeah. Anytime I make a decision, I make sure it matches up. I mean, sometimes people, I've had this with many clients, right, where their personal values, where they're working, they're unhappy. And sometimes it turns out to be because the values of where they're working don't match with their own. And sometimes that causes people to be discontent with their job, their employment.
So, Robin, if somebody is listening to us today, somebody in the audience is listening and says, I really haven't defined my values yet. How can you guide somebody to define their values in order to be able to measure their decisions against that?
So one question I ask people when we're working on values is, who is someone you love and respect the most, and tell me why? And within that, you can usually pick out values that really matter.
Ooh, who is someone you love and respect
the most, and why?
And from the answer to that question, you're able to pick out the values, the things that matter to you.
Exactly.
And then when you pick out your values now, then you can use that to measure your decisions against.
Exactly.
That is intentional.
It helps. It helps a lot. Some people really struggle with how to make decisions. That's a simple tool.
I love that. I love that. I just love spending time with you because you just never know what you're going to learn the next minute.
Oh, vice
I love
versa.
that.
Vice versa.
I love that. So this is we will have in the show notes the link to the Mirth Project, the link to how you can take care of a foster child, and the link to what you could do to donate.
Yes,
and
thank you.
This is, as we get into December here, it's good to prepare to give.
Yes.
When you're giving, you're growing.
Yes,
And,
I love it.
And that gratitude. It's when you're surrounded by gratitude, life is elevated.
Thank you.
And those are some of the reasons for us to be happy in life that we don't really think about. Thanks for coming on the show to remind
Absolutely.
us about that. Tell me about what do you think, running the Mirth Project, what is your most fulfilling aspect of it?
The most fulfilling, that's a really hard one.
I know, because everything, this is what you live,
Yeah.
breathe, and eat. You're all foster children every day.
Right. Well, remember, we also serve low-income teens, right?
Yes.
We serve both demographics. But I will
Yes.
say it's usually the most recent success is the most fulfilling.
Yes.
And I'll share this with you briefly.
Tell me.
We have a young man at Scholar House. We'll call
Yes.
him David.
Yes.
David has a very special place in my heart.
Oh.
He, 2 years ago, decided he was going to join the National Guard because it was going to give him some much needed self-respect.
Yes.
And he thought, okay, this is responsible because the government will pay for my schooling.
Yes.
And I'll be able to work a couple of weekends a month and I'll be able to get income. He went to boot camp, 8 weeks that summer, came back, only he never saw any money. They didn't have a record of him being at boot camp. So he spent 2 years struggling, not getting tuition paid for, not getting money when he worked on the weekend. And this problem was festering, right? And it was compounding all the time. And he told us a little bit about it, but not a significant amount, not enough for me to go, oh, wait a second, how can we help with this? But recently, one of my volunteers, she heard the story of needing food because we do send him food quite regularly because he's struggling. And she's like, this just breaks my heart. Can I meet with him? I'm like, sure. And he agreed. And she took him to dinner at Olive Garden, and he'd never been to Olive Garden, taught him how to order, right? Because that's a skill that kids don't have sometimes when they've spent time in foster care, and took him grocery shopping. But the most beautiful thing was he let his guard down with her and told her the story of what's happening with the government not getting paid for his service.
Yes.
And she knew someone. And they owed her a favor. And sure enough, that next day, she made the calls, and within a week, he had half of the money wired to his bank account. But then the government shut down, so he's going to have to wait until the government reopens to get the rest of his money, but they told him it would be coming. So that right there is the most fulfilling thing right now because it's the most recent success.
The stars align and everything gets put in place and the universe is working towards helping.
Yes, exactly. So that was a great one. That feels really good.
And there she was thinking she was just taking him out to dinner and just, fulfilling a small need.
Yes.
And she ended up fulfilling a big need. And this is life-changing for this boy.
Life-changing. He was able to pay his tuition bill. But honestly, I think he told her the story because he wanted her to know that he wasn't a freeloader, that he'd been trying to take care of himself, and he was facing this problem that he'd done what they asked. He turned in his paperwork, and nothing happened. It was like a David and Goliath kind of story.
Yes.
Yeah, but he's good now.
I'm just when you tell the story, you just suck me in, and I'm just sitting here listening to you, and I'm like, I'm transported to that moment.
Yeah, I'm excited for him. David's going to be okay.
He's gonna be okay,
Yeah.
and I'm so happy. And we're speaking his name now into the universe, and I know that everything is gonna align in his favor to help him go the right path. And God is gonna continue to put those people on his path to help take care of him.
Yes, we're a safety net now. He didn't have one before, but we got him.
And this is the Mirth Project, my friend.
Yes.
Thank you for truly living intentionally. Thank you for not just, living on autopilot, for aligning your purpose and your values with what you do on a daily basis. It's rare to find that, but you embody it so well.
Thank you.
And it's inspiring.
Thank you. Well, that's what I hope for everyone, right?
Yes.
Is that, people think that purpose is something they're searching for, like it's something that out here that they have to find. But I believe that you just decide, you just decide what your purpose is.
I love that. I just so many pearls dropping left and right. I love that. Purpose is not something you're looking for. You decide what your purpose is, and then you live it out.
Yeah,
one
exactly.
step at a time. And then you find your values,
Yep.
and then you define your decisions using those values.
Right, exactly.
I'm a good student, guys. I love it. One thing that I love to ask every single one of my guests is about an intentional initiative, something very, very little that you do every day, or you can advise us to do every day that will help us lead an intentional life. What's an intentional initiative you will share with us today?
Goodness, that is a hard question. So I have this concept called the compliment bar.
I love it.
And so every day, I intentionally give a compliment to a stranger. And you never know. That person may not have heard a kind word in a while, right? So a person at the grocery store, even a person walking down the street. Every day, I give at least one person a compliment.
The compliment bar, you guys. She never told me about the compliment bar. I had to look it up. I saw it on her website, and I was like, this is genius. I love it. It's very simple.
The idea is simple. It's just the doing it is hard. I mean, it's an artistic installation filled with all these drawers and cups and jars, and inside every one is a different compliment. And you take a bag, you buy a bag for $10, and you go around the compliment bar and you choose compliments for a person, and you give that bag to them as a tiny gift. So that's where that comes from.
I love that. But you in every single day, you can just give a
someone
compliment.
a compliment. Yeah.
And that is intentional living. That's an intentional initiative. I'm not going to let you go without asking you one of my favorite questions. What is your favorite supplement, Robin?
Well, it is thanks to you, Miss Emlah. Creatine and taurine. That is my favorite supplement. And actually, today when I leave here, I'm going to the pharmacy to buy creatine with taurine because I am out.
Oh, I love it. So Miss Robin loves creatine with taurine.
Yes.
And this is time. It's a perfect segue into my favorite segment of the podcast, Supplement School with Emlah. Don't worry, guys. There will be no exam. But let's learn a little bit about creatine and creatine with taurine. So creatine is one supplement that we really need, especially women, because at first we've always just attributed creatine to the bodybuilders.
Yeah.
And when I was talking with Robin earlier before the show, and she said, my son takes creatine, and I just, never thought about it for myself until I read a little bit more about creatine. Yeah. Creatine helps support muscle building. Creatine is good for brain health. Creatine is not only the only people that I really basically say should not be taking creatine is if the doctor has ever told you there's something wrong with your kidneys.
Oh.
Yes. Okay. So if your kidney function is not optimal, you should stay away from creatine.
Interesting.
Yes. And technically, 5 grams of creatine, and when you're buying creatine, if you have creatine at home, what you want to do is take that container of creatine, look on the back of it, and make sure it's creatine monohydrate. The more bioavailable one that your body would absorb. And creatine with taurine, kind of better for your body. So, but it is important to make sure that you're taking creatine monohydrate. It's just a better bioavailable one. And ways to put creatine on your plate, friends. Red meat has a lot of creatine. And for people who do not eat red meat, it's just easier to do the supplements. And 5 grams of creatine is good enough for you. You don't want to take more than 5 grams daily. There are people who would do creatine loading, but you have to do it under the supervision of a healthcare provider. But I would say 5 grams of creatine, basic and good enough for all of us, as we help to build muscle, because muscle is a currency of the future.
Yes, it is.
And we can't just be taking creatine and staying at home. This girl works out every single day.
I do.
5 days a week, she's working out. So in addition to, so creatine, building that inner alignment and supporting movement and investing in our future.
Absolutely.
We put in money in that 401k, preparing for retirement, and that's how you're putting creatine in your body and moving your body, strength training to be able to prepare for that future.
Exactly.
I love it. Thanks for reminding us about creatine today. If you have any questions, we'll have a link to how you can buy creatine in the show notes. We'll have a link to the Mirth Project, and I am looking forward to, and I hope that I get the list of that 13-year-old girl who is looking for groceries that are not from the food pantry. Just think about the basic things that, the foster children are out there looking for, and things that I would gladly, and I know you and I listeners will be able to do this, not just because we're helping the foster care or the children who are transitioning from foster care, we're also helping ourselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Robin, thank you so much for coming to the show today.
Thank you for inviting me. It was fun.
Thank you. Thank you. And thanks for listening to the show today. If you are inspired by this, please make sure to share with a friend or family members who would deserve an intentional life. And I know that everybody does deserve an intentional life. Make sure to give us a rating on Apple Podcasts and write a review, because that is a gift that I can ask as we give to our foster care kids. I'm asking for a gift for myself. And if you were able to review the show, remember, friends, be kind to your body and keep living intentionally as we take consistent steps towards the direction of our goals. Be kind to your body.